Good afternoon, Rachel.
Mr. Miller.
And
Hi.
good afternoon, Teena. So before we get very far into this, I'm going to read our handy dandy disclaimer. Welcome to the Rachel. Let's try it again. Take two. Welcome to the Rachel and Mr. Miller podcast. We cover real estate, real life, occasional topic that might raise an eyebrow. We are licensed residential and commercial real estate professionals. However, this podcast is for entertainment and general information purposes only. Nothing you hear should be taken as legal, financial, tax, or other professional advice outside of our licensed wheelhouses. And listening does not create a client advisory relationship of any kind. These are our opinions, our experiences, and conversations. Enjoy responsibly, like an adult beverage. See, look at that. I even did that whole thing.
You did a new disclaimer. You shook that one up here on March 19th,
I did that just to see how you would say,
11.
What are you doing, Miller? Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that. So,
I said there.
Rachel, would you please entertain? I'm going to drink more water.
Okay, I just want to say we are, it is March 19th, season 2, episode 11 of Real Estate with Rachel and Mr. Scott Miller, Mr. Miller. And today we have Teena. Teena, help me pronounce your last name.
Pronounced Broumand. Broumand.
Say it again.
Kind of like brew, Brewmand, but it's actually a Persian or Iranian name, which is timely at this time. I'm married and it's my husband's it's my married name.
Very good. Welcome, Teena Broumand. We are very excited to have you on today. Teena and I met through the Ventura County Business Women's Group. It's a networking group I joined recently. And I went on the Facebook page for the first time and did a shout out saying, hey, I'm looking for somebody who can speak to mortgage coaching. And Teena was the first one to reach out to me. We met on the phone a couple days ago, had a great conversation, and super excited to welcome you to our podcast today,
Thank you
Teena.
so much
Thank you for your time.
Good
job, Miller. Yay! Hi, Teena. We'd like you to take a few minutes to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you guys so much for having me here today. My name's Teena Broumand, and I'm an independent mortgage broker. What that means is I work in the wholesale channel and I work directly for the client. I don't work for one particular bank or investor or retail branch of a lender. I work directly for a consumer. I set myself up that way on purpose. I've already been in corporate America in the medical device field for the first part of my career and just felt a real calling to work directly with people, for people, with their goals in mind, not the boxes or lending standards that a more captive lender might be able to offer because it limits choices. So as a lender, I'm really a problem solver and an opportunity creator. That's ultimately what I do as a lender. I'm not here to sell anyone a loan or merely quote rates. I'm here to create opportunities from the goals that they express to me or overcome challenges in what might be a challenged loan application when we're trying to get from point A to point B.
Teena, I'm going to step into an area here that feel free to throw things in my general direction. There's a lot, I'm going to say, the banks that shall remain nameless, but there's a lot of banks that work for themselves, I'm going to say Bank of America and Wells Fargo, things like that. A lot of those guys get paid regardless if the loan closes or not. Based on what you said, it sounds like you are the same as a realtor. You don't get paid until the loan closes. So you're So this is strictly my opinion that to me, that speaks volumes. As realtors, you know that we don't get paid until the loan closes or the people get a home, and we can go work our fannies off and
Absolutely
get nothing.
correct.
So I applaud you.
I believe firmly that
you.
People need people right now. And there is a plethora of information online. You can figure out almost anything, but you can't really figure out what loan structure or program is right for you. And I actually have a super good example that just came up today and a reason why I don't work for one investor. I do a lot of VA loans. I am a VA loan specialist also. And there is a retail branch of a somebody we all work with, I'm sure, as a lender. They just came out with a notice today that made it appear as though the VA had a rule that says you can't, if you have a VA exemption from a service related disability, that you can't exempt your taxes. That's a lender over. Exactly. I see your eyebrow. But you don't know that if you're going to one lender. Then that's all that you know. That's all you can offer. That's not what I look to do in my business. And much like agents, the meat and potato of the value that I bring is in the information and experience that I have to share with people so that their process is either smoother, less expensive, less emotional, all kinds of things. But that is why I do this. I really feel that people need people. If I had like a t-shirt, it would be hashtag people need people. Because I think we have enough AI, we have enough general information out there to like go around the world 3 times, but it's not specific enough for you to be actionable in your decision making regarding housing purchasing.
That's something Rachel and I talk about on a very regular basis. I think we said it today, is we keep aces in their places. I get asked all the time, well, what are interest rates like? Do you have a mortgage lender? Well, no. Let me introduce you. Well, can't you just tell me? No, they're somewhere between 6 and whatever. There are so many different details
Mm-hmm.
that my head explodes enough. I don't need to try to figure that out. And keeping aces in their places is huge. And being, like you stated a few minutes ago, is you are an independent broker. So you get to take a peek at everything going on and then match what's going on with that particular client. Rachel had mentioned, I got bit by something in a house today and it itches like crazy. May have been a turtle. No, it wasn't a turtle. We have people, and I'm sure you've seen it right now a lot also, is that may not have the most spectacular credit on the planet. And they're like, oh, I can't buy a house. I'll just stay renting. I had someone this morning say that to me. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to be a renter forever. Well, there's so many different plans out there. Again, my opinion is it's an agent's responsibility to find a responsible lender who will take the time, not see that person as a number or a dollar sign, sit down and do what the higher power gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth to listen twice as much as one talks. Ask relevant questions to get
You're
those
exactly
answers.
right. And I think I even just wrote down today a little note to myself as a reminder. Often what I see with some lenders, they have a certain set of business goals and their goals drive the outcome. I wrote a post-it to myself today that says, reminder, my goals are not the client's goals. It's not for me to impart that. It's for me to be an impartial analysis. And like Rachel and I were talking, sometimes my conversation with people results in a loan quote. Here's a rate that you can qualify for in loan programs. Sometimes a conversation with me ends up with a gap analysis. Hey, where are we today? And where do we want to get to? And are we there yet? Or do we have anything to fix? So one thing that I think I can speak to as an independent mortgage broker that's doing this analysis for people is please do not tell yourself no before I tell you no, because it really is very common right now for people to know that their finances may not be perfect, but there is a fear of looking that imperfection directly in the mirror and saying, well, what is it? What can be fixed? What can be optimized? And as a lender, any lender, whether it's me, Bank of America, or anyone else, we are literally going to take a piece of paper. We're going to, divide it in half and divide it in half the other way so that we have 4 boxes on a piece of paper. Whenever I'm doing a loan pre-approval or an initial consultation with a client, we're going to build a house and we're going to pre-approve or think like an underwriter so that we don't end up with questions that get to be answered during escrow. That's the wrong time to answer those questions because that results in fallout. Fallout isn't fair to a seller because it takes up time on the market for their listing. It's not good for a buyer because it emotionally draws them through like the wet trenches of war, and that's not emotionally healthy to go through. So it really is best to sit down with a lender, like you said, Scott, and just do an honest analysis of what is it that we're going to be looking at. And so whenever we're building a house for a loan, we're literally going to ask 4 questions. We're going to start with income. And these are like cornerstones of a house. So think we're building a house. We start walls out and we go in. So we start with income. Where do you work? How long have you worked there? Is any of your income variable? Do you work multiple jobs to make it work? Do we have multiple borrowers? What does your income situation look like? I do upfront written verifications of employment if any of those informations are variable, bonus income, commission income, things like that. If we wait to do those activities once we're in escrow, that's when surprises happen. And one thing I do know is the lender is often the biggest variable in any real estate transaction. So it's my job as your lender to take as much of that variability out because as much as I work for the borrower, I also have to work respectfully on behalf of the overall transaction, meaning I'm taking up agents' professional time, and that is not courteous if I'm not solid in my loan. I'm taking up title agents, escrow agents. If I'm not solid in my loan pre-approval, I could potentially be wasting a client's money by having them output inspection fees, appraisal fees, septic inspection fees, and not have confidence that my income number, my credit, or my assets are going to be acceptable to underwriting. So when we build out a house, go ahead.
Teena, I'm sorry. Before I know you have so much to share, and I just want to pause for a moment and just clarify. When you say build a house,
Absolutely.
you're saying metaphorically. Okay. And then also, I'm just curious, can people come to you specifically to seek out mortgage coaching or to look at this gap that you call it? Can they come to you specifically for that, knowing that this is something that you do in your
Absolutely.
practice?
They, however, are going to have to be willing to provide me with 100% of their documentation. They are going to provide all documents and they're going to pay for their own credit pull, which is $137-ish. There is some skin in the game on behalf of a consumer that wants this type of analysis. This type of analysis, it takes my time. Time is money. And so I need to go through this with someone that I believe has some amounts of seriousness to their inquiry. That's just a matter of questions. And that typically starts with a 40,000-foot question, which is, do you have employment and do you have any income to start with, right? Any income and any assets. If you don't have a job, you're not likely going to get a loan unless you're very heavy with assets that I can use assets in lieu of income. If you don't have some amount of money, you're not going to get very far in initial loan analysis because you're not even going to have the money to demonstrate that you can pay for appraisals, credit reports. There are 3 times that you're going to have to output money before you ever even get to a loan. That's an appraisal, inspections, and earnest money deposit. If you don't have those 3 things up front, that's an easy analysis for me to do. Those 3 questions are going to tell me, well, that's where you got to start. If you have no income, go get a job and we need 2 years of history and I'll tell you what that job requirement is. If you don't have assets, none, $0, you need a VA loan and maybe some gift funds. We'll talk, is that possible? Then we'll go forward with our analysis. These are moving checkers or chess down a pawn or down a game board. And if you're not passing those first couple of questions, that's not a bad thing. Those are just things that you know that you need to work on at the very first forefront. We're not going to get into specifics about credit because
Miller?
credit doesn't matter at that point if you don't have employment. So why would we spend $137 on a credit report when there's no employment tied to it? So through some filtering questions, we can get to a gap analysis and tell people what they really need to know and work on. What I get fearful with, Rachel, is that people are like, oh yeah, I can't buy for 2 years. Well, who set that timeline for you? Like, why do you think that? Right? It's arbitrary. So it's getting to the point of why they think that, what they think, and what the true reality is part of that initial gap analysis or pre-approval, because that gap analysis might actually turn into surprise, you're actually approved.
Sure. Miller.
I have like 3 different questions. You mentioned something, and
I have one.
You have one. Well, okay, I'm just going with mine anyway. Ha
You
ha
go,
ha.
you go.
You said something a few minutes ago, and I just replayed it in my head. You said mission income. You talked about you do a lot of VA. Mission income is when someone's deployed to a specific region and they're getting deployment income. Is that what you're referring to, or a specific mission? Go hog tie a lizard and bring him back, and that's it, that type of thing. Is that what that was referring to?
I'm not hearing in my head what I said, so I'm like, oh God, what did I say?
Hear mission income.
Maybe so.
I was focusing on something else.
On VA loans, people do get elevated pay while they're deployed. I think your question is, can they qualify off of that higher deployment income? Is what I hear you asking, maybe. That
Right.
question
Correct.
is no, if it's not going to be extended for a long time. So whenever we're talking about income, history, and forward-looking potential, do we have that there? A deployment income is going to be a temporary based off of their situation or a temporary situation. It's typically not going to come on a leave and earnings statement as base income.
Got it. And then this is something that's come up a lot out here in Kern County. We have a lot of foster parents. And those foster parents will get income for the kids that their kids that they're hosting. I've had people that have been foster parents for 10, 15 years, and they foster literally
that's right
30 or 40 kids a year.
Heart of service
that's what
right
I said.
there.
How many? Yeah, so that would I'm putting air quotes up, qualify as a quote job. There's a lot of people, I've talked to people that are foster parents. I don't have a job. Yeah, you do. You have a job. Yeah. Okay, Rachel, your turn.
You've mentioned the word assets as part of the pillar in your income box. What do you mean by assets?
I mean this. Okay. I mean, whenever we're looking at a loan, we're going to fill in 4 boxes of information. Those 4 boxes are income, assets, credit, and then the property that you're going to buy. Income is its own box. Assets is its own box. When we're talking about assets for a loan, I'm going to typically get 2 months worth of your bank statements. What I'm actually looking for as a lender, which I find so funny because when I tell people this is what we're really looking for as a lender, I'm looking to make sure you're not laundering money. For real. That's really a huge part of my job, is to make sure that you're not laundering money by buying houses. So what I mean by that is houses are expensive. Part of what we're looking at when we're looking at your asset statements are, do you have any off the book debts? Are you paying somebody $700 a month on the 4th of every month? That's going to look like a reoccurring obligation if it's not showing up on your credit report. How about large deposits? Say you're prepping to buy a house and your sister has owed you $1,500 from a trip you took to Mexico 3 years ago. She's finally going to pay you back. That's the equivalent of mattress money. So money coming into your account, debts going out of your account. Each line item on a bank statement typically has a description of what it is and where it's going. We're looking at that detail of your bank statement. It's not just, hey, here's my bank statement. I've got 10 grand in it. That's certainly what we're looking at, but I'm looking way deeper than that. And the reason why I tell clients that is if you're planning on getting gift funds, I'm going to tell you how to receive them so it doesn't mess up your file in the middle of your file. If you are paying a debt obligation and it's not showing up on credit, we're going to make sure that we wrap that into your DTI calculation up front manually so I don't have a lender find it out later and then hit it with me and you can't qualify. So this is what I mean when you go through a independent broker, we are doing a way deeper scrub or pre-underwrite on your file because we are avoiding at all costs any surprises like large deposits that pop up during an escrow process.
That really goes hand in hand with the new law
Yes,
of
you're
the
right.
FinCEN that our escrow people are at, was it
Yes.
131 different
It's
questions now?
serious.
So you are, if you
It's
will,
a serious
doing.
issue
I'm
if
sorry.
we have escrow and title coming to us like they have been educating us about these new rules. It is a part of our lender responsibility, but it is coming to agents and everyone else. We're all getting noticed about it, right?
Yep. It's we've done several podcasts on the FinCEN, and it's what I like hearing is that you are taking a proactive approach to that, and it may even be inadvertent. However, it's still a proactive stopgap, as it would be horrible to have something fall apart. What do you mean I can't use my mattress money? And as you know, and Rachel and I have talked about it and seen it, is there's a lot of mattress money out there. I just read this morning that 70% of people, or what was it? 70% of people that own property are over the age of 60, and they're putting their rents and stuff in their mattress,
Yeah,
so that people can't get a hold of
I'm
it.
not
Yeah,
surprised by that.
Tina,
it's
take me and my husband, for example. We've both been self-employed forever. My husband owns a construction company for over 25 years. So we don't have a history of W-2s or working for corporate America, and our income can very much fluctuate. What kind of advice would you give to a couple such as us that has a mature business, but the income, our bank statements can look very different, not only month to month, but our P&Ls can look
So we
different year
have
to
lots
year?
of different options, and really everything starts with that income, assets, credit, and property analysis. If we're not fitting comfortably in a box based off of an initial income assessment, when we have a self-employed borrower, you're going to report income on a Schedule C, potentially an 1120S and K1 combination, some sort of a corporate return. When we look at that, we have formulas based off of those corporate returns that we start our analysis with. If that doesn't produce enough income, which it typically doesn't, because a majority of us that are self-employed, we use the tax law to our benefit, which is what we should be doing as self-employed business owners. But there's always a yin and yang with that. So
right.
while we are writing off expenses to our business that reduce our tax obligation, because that's what we should be doing in our accounting methodology as a business owner, it actually does reduce how much you show as usable income on paper if using tax returns to qualify. As a self-employed business owner, we
Right.
start there, but that analysis doesn't usually result in the amount of income necessary to buy the property that you're wanting. So we start pivoting and looking at alternative ideas and comparing what's the cost difference, because the next step beyond qualifying with tax returns is we flip to a bank statement program. So most of my self-employed borrowers, and I will say probably 50% of my borrowers are self-employed, either one or both borrower. So many of my loans use bank statements in order to demonstrate usable income rather than an analysis on tax returns. And in those situations, we take either 12 or a 24-month history, whichever is stronger. That business is going to get a haircut depending upon lender, depending upon expenses for the business, depending upon how your mortgage person can actually present what the business expense ratio is likely to be. So I work with CPAs. So,
do you
say
mean
for
a haircut?
instance, you're a
What does that
self-employed
mean?
business owner, and let's just focus on your husband's construction business for a moment, and we'll compare that against your real estate business. So, construction business, say for instance, in the last 24 months, he deposited $200,000 worth of clients paying him to construct something in their home. The lender is going to say, okay, I added up all your deposits. They equaled 200 grand for the last 24 months. Now, I have to assume you've had some business expenses in order to do that. You had to gas, were there parts, were there materials? Did you buy flooring? Did you buy plumbing or pipes or things like that to conduct your business? So the expectation is you had to use some of that 200 grand. That's not all profit, right? That's not all
Most
profit.
of
You
it.
had to use in your husband's business of construction. You're right. He's going to use at least 50% of that was probably expenses needed to conduct that job. So the lender is going to give him a haircut from 200 grand to 100 grand and assume 50% business expense ratio. I'm going to go to,
So you're basically assuming
you got it.
gross and net, or you're looking at
Yes,
the
but you
gross and
never want to
assuming the
assume
net.
anything. There's a saying about that, right? About assuming. So we don't ever
Yes,
assume, especially in
absolutely.
lending, right? So instead of that, yes,
Sure,
that's
but you
right.
know what I mean.
I send to a CPA and I say, hey, CPA guy, calculate the actual analysis. Well, guess what? He wasn't using a 50% expense ratio. He got a bunch of parts secondhand or on sale or whatever. His actual expense ratio is only 45%, not 50 or 60. So there are analysis that go on. Take the same person or take a different business, a realtor or a writer, somebody who's a professional writer. Their expense ratio is so much less. They've got a computer and some paper to buy. So by using different bank statement lenders to underwrite your loan, some bank statement lenders have default expense ratios 50% everybody. Doesn't matter what you do. I go out and shop bank statement lenders because I'm like, hey, that doesn't work for me. I've got a writer. She's only using 15% of her income on expenses. So I will do that analysis through my bank statement portfolio of lenders to then match the best lender for another. If it's someone who is like a specialty construction guy and maybe his expense ratio is actually 75% or 90%, I might like the 50% automatic expense ratio factor because it's less than his 75%. Yeah.
Hey, Tina, we're gonna do something we haven't done before. We're gonna do being right at the 30-minute mark. We're gonna go a little bit over. Let's do a flash round, and we're just gonna fire off like 3 questions. I have a couple of them up, and Rachel may say, "What are you doing?" But that's okay. She may come up with one too. So as I get back over here to this other button I was going to press, but now I can't find. That was here a second ago, and now see. Okay, a flat. Don't you love it when you had something all ready to rock and roll, and then you move it, and then it goes away, and now I don't see it. Okay, flash round. Oh, there it is, right there. Ready? And see, we go flash round, and
Yikes.
okay, flash round. What is one big mistake buyers make when talking to big banks? And what will big banks not tell the lender? Or
The bank will not tell you if you are near a cusp on a credit bands. Credit scores work in buckets, 720 to 739, 740 to whatever. They won't tell you because they don't give you a copy of your credit report. If you're at a 738, they're not going to tell you how to get to 741, which improves your pricing.
what's the biggest mistake? The biggest mistake buyers make when choosing
They
a
don't
lender?
know what is a good lender and what's not a good lender.
That's valid. And go back to my button here. How often do deals fall apart because the lender failed to?
She went away.
I think I just got hung up on.
She disappeared.
Is she going to come
She
back
didn't
in?
like your lightning round or your bell.
Where'd she go? Is she coming back? Well, I like my lightning round.
We just that was funny. We didn't get to get into all of the details of how she does her coaching. She has her 4-pillar approach. We didn't get to get into that. We're probably going to have to ask her to come on again and really just kind of hone in on those 4 buckets that she was talking about. To recap, she was talking about income, assets, property to buy. And do you remember what the last one was, Scott?
I'm still trying to figure out if she's gone or if I can bring her back in. I don't see her in here anywhere. No, I don't. Okay, no, I don't. I'm sad right now as I was really excited about my lightning
Is she
round.
trying to get back in?
Not that I see.
Okay. Well, gosh, hopefully she's okay. Because that was just like, bloop, gone.
Yeah, just boop. She's like, I hate your bell. Bink, I'm out.
She did her image was kind of freezing up. I wonder if she just kind of lost connection.
Right? Wait, there she is.
She's back.
You didn't like my bell, did you, Teena?
Was it something we said, Teena?
I'm back. No, both of you froze and I was still going. So I was like, how did that happen?
You went away. You completely disappeared
both of you
on our
froze
end.
and I couldn't get it back.
You know what? We can blame it on this ungodly heat.
I think you're right.
It's only, yes. So
okay,
I don't remember what my last question was. Teena, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
I'm really easy to work with. I really am. I try to be that human interface. I have a website and a loan, my own mortgage brokerage. It's called Ocean Oaks Lending. I'm based in Ventura, but I have national reach. I hold multiple state licenses. You can also just call me, 805-455-2719. I'd love to just have a conversation with people.
Great, Teena. We are definitely going to need to have you come back and really just really focus in on your 4 pillars. We didn't really get into it deep enough for people to really understand the value and the importance of your work. I have some people right now at the top of my head that I know can really, really benefit from some human connection and in terms of like understanding where they are in their life right now. And that, yes, perhaps they can get into homeownership. Well, she's gone again. So you can get a hold of me at rachel@gratishomes.com. My website is rachelmoreno.gratishomes and my phone number is 805-813-0664. Miller, how can people get a hold of you?
I'm at a loss,
there she goes.
I can be reached at 760-264-3501, 760-264-3501, or homeswithscottkmiller.com. And look at that. I think I even have clapping now. Oh, maybe I don't. Yes, I do. Look at, there's clapping. Look at, yay! And we even have, it's our outgo. Yeah, can you tell I like the 80s music? You can't tell that at all, can you?
All right, well, you and I are really the only ones that care about that. Let's let everybody go.
Yes, very well. We will talk soon. Stay around for the green room, and we will talk to everybody very soon.
Adios.